Welcome to this holiday edition of the Security Weekly News. I forgot my Santa hat, but it's not that kind of holiday anyway. It's Labor Day week in the United States. I don't know what you do for Labor Day. I don't know if you dance around a poster of Stalin. I don't know. I really don't know. But this is when all our crew are allowed to sleep, eat, and do other personal activities that we don't want to know about. So we have to record this in advance because this is their only time off. But it is episode 508. It's the 2nd of September, according to you. So we're here now. I have a really cool show for you today. I've got I was on this show that I was asked to be on. I was very honored to be on the show. And I got to meet Rinoa Poison, who is a I'm going to say scammer hunter. And I was like, wow. And I know you've seen these videos, right? You've probably watched these things. So, and you've seen them on YouTube with people that go after and abuse, I don't know, we'll put it nicely, correct these people. So we want to talk about scams, identity, and how you can do a better job of not looking like a scammer, which is one of my personal pet peeves on the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Security Weekly and Cyber Risk TV are headed back to one of the biggest identity security events of the year, Octane 2025, put on by Okta. It's live September 24th through the 26th from the vibrant city of Las Vegas. Octane 2025 brings together the best minds in identity, security, and technology innovation. And this year, we're turning up the volume. Security Weekly will be on site in full force with Mandy Logan and Adrian Sanabria leading the charge. Get ready for live-streamed executive interviews, exclusive on-site editorial coverage from SC Media, and brand new this year, a live-streamed episode of Enterprise Security Weekly. It's your chance to engage with identity leaders, dive into the future of AI security, and hang out with your favorite Security Weekly hosts. And here's the best part. Security Weekly listeners get an exclusive discount. Just head to securityweekly.com/octane, register, and use the promo code OKTNSCMA25 to get your conference pass for $200. That's OKTNSCMA25. Ransomware, supply chain attacks, 0 days. Cyber threats don't wait, and neither should your defenses. With ThreatLocker, you're not just reacting to threats, you're stopping them before they start. Our zero trust endpoint protection locks down your environment with pinpoint control over what's allowed to run and what's not. No guesswork, no blind spots, just proactive, built for now security that keeps your business moving. Want to see how a true default deny strategy works? Head over to securityweekly.com/threatlocker and take the first step towards shutting the door on threats before they even knock. All right. So as I said before, I had the great honor to appear on Rinoa Poison recently, and I thought I immediately, the minute I was on the show, on their stream, I was like, I ought to have Rinoa on my show and talk about scams, because you know I love scams and all this kind of stuff. But Rinoa is a scammer hunter, somebody who targets these scam call centers and abuses/corrects, advises them on video and streams that out for everybody's entertainment, I guess, or maybe education. So now this is really popular content because I saw Rinoa's subscriber counts and I got immediate inferiority complex, like big inferiority complex. So hi, Rinoa.
Oh, hello. Greetings. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. I think one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was how you got started being, I'm going to call it a superhero because we actually know a lot of hackers and people like that, but I'm going to call this one a superhero because this is like crime fighting behind the mask kind of stuff. So I was wondering, how did you get into that?
So I was watching a lot of, during COVID, that I think that's when scambaiting sort of started to elevate. A lot of people were starting to watch it. I got laid off from work and I started to watch like Kid Boga and them, the big ones that have been doing this for years and years. And I wanted to just throw it out there. So I called some scammers. Just, I had some free time when you do get laid off from COVID, and I started to put out some videos. I put out some videos, and a couple of them went viral. And I only did it for a little bit until I had another job lined up, and I started working that. 6 months goes by, and like people are still commenting and say, "Hey, you can go back to this. Are you going to do more of this? This is amazing." And I was like, "Well, I'll try it again." So I started live streaming. I started posting more on YouTube, and here we are today.
Wow. I mean, I had never seen these kind of things really until I got approached by your producer. I got this email, a scary email. It's like, is this a scam? When I saw, because I do love scams, and we report on scams all the time. But I was like, here's this person out blind call. Hey, would you like to be on our show? It had all those sort of hooks, like, we'd love to have you on. We like you, and you're like, yay, they like me. And it, um, and then I started looking at it because this maybe I went and watched some of your streams, and of course that triggered the algorithm, which started showing me more streams, and somehow tied me into something called coin pushers, which I was like had never seen in my life, and which has nothing to do with unless it's just a scam in and of itself. But it was really really interesting, and I see why people like this, right? Because it is that superhero, you know, stick up for the little guy kind of feeling that, and I was like, yeah, get them. And like, I hate these guys. And I've had too many people that got abused by these kind of people. So, I mean, is that like your motivation, or was it more like, I just like hacking things?
Um, so there was some motivation to want to just, stick it to them, right? There's definitely that. I mean, I enjoy, like, especially when they're raging, and I am just like, I get a lot of comments saying, "Why do you let them abuse you?" And it's like, are you watching the video? Do you see me in tears laughing at them while they're screaming at me? Like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. Yeah.
I think most everybody that's been like on Pulse Security Weekly and hosting over here, all of us have at some point done sort of what you're doing in a lesser overt way. I mean, I know I have talked to some of these clowns. I didn't really do anything to them other than I tried to get the guy to come. I mean, I got the guy to come to the airport. He was,
Yeah.
and I had basically reverse fished him, or whatever you call it, scam baiting. I mean, he called me, and I was just like, oh well, yeah, like, I do have some money. I won this like bingo tournament last month, and I've got like $500,000, and you could just hear the guy sweating over the phone. And I
Yeah.
just kept it up for like 2 weeks. I was talking to this guy. He was trying to get me to show up with a briefcase full of money and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, does anybody do this? And then I started reading stories about people doing exactly that. CEOs taking $1 million in a briefcase to, Nigeria and stuff.
It is insane. I see, a lot of, like, people come to me and they talk to me about their experience, and I think that's a lot of joy in this too, is that when they've been a victim of the scam, they get enjoyment to see them getting their, karma kinda thing. So I think that works out too, you know?
Do you like target specific people, or are these just like people that contact you, or is it just like you have to find content for your show?
So there's many people in the community that will post numbers on forums, Reddit,
Okay.
whatever it may be. You can find numbers everywhere that say, "Hey, I just got this email. Looks a little fishy. Somebody check it out." That kind of thing. And we will call them and say, "Hey, I got this email," kind of thing. So a lot of that comes from the community as a whole. There's a large, large community behind the scenes that do all the numbers and grab all for us to call.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, so this is very much like something that I used to do, which was called hacking back. So this was an old school kind of model. So back in the old bulletin board days, and even in the early internet days, when you saw people messing with your sites, messing with your network, I had a lot of, I want, is it malware? Yeah, it was malware. I mean, I had stuff that I had written that was designed to go abuse people, and even back when I was a sysop on the mainframe and we weren't even connected to the internet, I had tools that I used to abuse people that were abusing other people. And it was very popular because we had one that would change all your print headers to, I'm a sleaze bag. And we had one that said, I cheated. And, it would print this on your green bar for your assignments. And my favorite was the one that said, I cheated. and they're supposed to turn this into the professor, and then, it's big giant headers, and they couldn't get rid of it, and then they would have to come up to the window and go like, why is it printing this? Like, oh really, did you open that file that was called assignment answer? I mean, so you publicly, I don't know, I guess publicly shame these clowns.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's a good idea? I mean, obviously you do, but I mean, how does that fit in our societal model?
So I do wanna so I don't target anybody specifically, right? Like, I know there are some people in this community that they kind of make this about race, and I try to stay away from
Mm,
that very, very much. I try to always say, "Look, there are scammers. There's scammers in every country." It's a big point to make that because I think some people see the enemy because a lot of the people we do target are in India. There's call centers there. It's rampant there. And a lot of people like to target that country in general, and I stay very far from that. It's not fair to because I have a lot of friends over there. They're amazing people. It's so
yeah.
in that regard, I try to stay away from that. As for the hacking thing, we've just recently started to get into this kind of thing. We don't talk too much about our tactics just because they're scammers watch my YouTube videos. It is insane how
Get some tips.
they do watch. They do. They check it out. They wanna know what we're doing and try to stay one up from us. So, that's constantly like a battle. We're always, moving forward to, like, before we were using virtual machines and you would just boot up a virtual machine with Windows and you'd be able to bait them for hours, and then they started to realize, "Okay, if we start looking into the system information, it'll come up virtual machines." So we had to go into the registry, start removing all that information so it looked more real and looked more legit. And now they're starting to do that with VoIP phones now too. They're able to find out that we're using VoIP phones, so we might have to use a burner phone, and it's just a one up every time.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, but they're not stupid, I mean,
No.
it's just they're just kind of basically evil. But one of the things I did want to ask you was have you ever felt like this obviously these channels, so watching your channel and everything makes me want to do this. I'm not going to, but it makes me want to. It looks fun. I know when I was messing with these guys, it was fun. I was having a good time. Some people are like, "Why would you waste your time?" It was fun. I was really abusing this clown. But do you think that maybe you could give some cautionary tales to about people who want to do this kind of stuff and how you can get in trouble with this?
Yes. So is this fun to do? Yes, it is extremely fun to do. And I'm glad it's contagious and people wanna get into the fight and everyone wants to stop these scammers. I do throw caution to the wind though, right? There was a recent new kind of person in the horizon. He was kinda starting out. He got his setup all done. He started streaming himself. Well, one thing led to another. A scammer got on his actual machine. So there is caution to that. Obviously, we have things set up and so it stops, that kind of thing. I worry about that. I know people ask me, and I don't like to give too much advice of how to get into this because I worry about people taking shortcuts or just going straight into it. And that's something I don't want to be like, "Hey, you got me scammed." And it's like you have to take your own risk into this if you want to do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, we've always had that same thing with like hacks and hacking kind of things is that, you show this, I mean, you show people how to do something and they may do it themselves. So that's why you see those cautions like, right, don't try this at home, kind of
Yes.
thing. These are professional stunt people. You shouldn't try it. And I think that's very true here. And I know I was very worried about it. And when I was engaging with this person, it was totally being done over a telephone with a burner phone. I was never going to let this person on my machine, and having it in a virtual machine that's very isolated. I would just caution everybody if you're trying to think about doing this stuff, be very careful. Not to mention, I don't know that these people could track you down or they even would bother, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, we've seen scam. I mean, like you said, it's not just one place that's doing this. There's scams being run in Queens. There's scams being run in Singapore. There's scams being run in India, Africa, all over the world. And maybe you just happen to get the one that's just down the street from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That warehouse on Astoria Boulevard? Yeah, that one. I mean, and the next thing you know, somebody comes by your place with a ball bat or something. So I think that whole part of identity is very dangerous doing undercover work. And I've done like actual undercover work for the police, and it was pretty scary. Even just when I was thinking they don't know who I am, but I'm like, whoa, I hope they don't find out.
'Cause you never know what somebody's capable of. It's like this person might just have a vendetta against you. "Oh, you wasted 2 hours of my time. Well, I'm gonna personally find out who you are," and you
Hmm.
just never know. It's
You
it's
ruined
scary.
my big money scam, and yeah, wasted my time, but you ruined my big money scam, and so on and so forth. So, what are the most common kinds of scams that you like to look at? I mean, are these like click fix scams, or are these just call center scams, or do you have a specific sort of archetype that you like?
Um, so I go after many different scams, especially recently, we've been broadening ourselves to even more and more scams. We opened up to have people send in any kind of scam, and we've just been investigating. Most of the scams I go for is the refund scams. They're just easy to call, especially when you're doing a live stream and you wanna share and have a good laugh with everyone. Those seem to be the easiest ones because they're longer, they're like 2 hours a call, and they jump on their machine, they edit stuff, so they're doing some goofy stuff. They pull up their command prompt and they say, "This is the refund portal," and all of us are pretty tech savvy, so it's we're all laughing at them. They're like, "Oh my gosh," they think this it's so there's a lot of fun to be had in that sort of scam, and that's the priority of what we do on live stream.
Yeah, I mean, I watched some of your videos about that, and I saw, yeah, that exact kind of thing. So these often are going to be people that are trying to get on your system. They're people trying to get you, like what I call click fix scams, which are a lot of those are run just by pop ups, where it says click here because you got an error, and it gives you like a string to paste into your command line or something to fix the error. And these guys are trying to do the same things. Um, I think where I really kind of wanted to go with this though was could we talk a little bit about like your advice? How do we train people? You're obviously pretty paranoid about this kind of stuff because you do it professionally. I'm paranoid because I don't know, probably need treatment or something. But I mean, I've always seen this. I mean, I have seen this stuff going on since the 1980s. I mean, I've seen people trying to break into things. I've seen people trying to, trick people out of passwords, trick people out of PIN numbers, whatever. How do we train both our friends and family as well as our corporate employees to not fall for this stuff? Because nothing we have done seems to have worked. People still fall for it.
This is such a tricky one because I've noticed some changes, like, especially when you go to, like, a department store, you'll see the little signs now that say, "Please make sure you're not buying gift cards for certain search, people." But it's a difficult question because, I mean, there's obviously some
It
really,
is.
really smart people on top of this that are, their companies are spending a lot of money to not lose money, and here we are still losing money, so
Yeah.
it's a very, very tricky question. I mean, I guess a little course could help, just talking about what scams are, what to look for, make sure that if any money is moving, there's, red flags on that. Anything of that nature, right? Helps. Just small little sit downs and discuss what scams or quick actions, or maybe ask a buddy, hey, does this seem fishy? Those go a long way for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think they help. I don't yeah, obviously, if we had a solution to this, I wouldn't be putting it on the air. You and I can start a company this evening, and we'll make a lot of
Yeah,
money if we
right.
had an answer for this, because why would we share that with all of you? But there are all these scams, however the vector starts, they typically rely on people falling for the scam. And they're not always even scams, like, look, click here, scan this QR code. I have no it says installation guide. Is it? I don't know. It might be. It seems like it should be. It came with a video card, but I don't know that it is. And I see that in a restaurant on the table. They say scan here for our menu, and I'm like, yikes. Could I just have a regular old menu, please? I don't really want to scan that with my phone. I feel like I need to carry a burner phone around just for that kind of purpose because I'm so worried about that. Um, how do you think that companies how do you think companies could do a better job of not appearing as scams? And I'll tell you why I asked this. Just this morning, I had a text from a doctor's office, and it said, "Hi, Doug. Doctor misspelled name here. Needs you to call Lori at this number about your test results." Now, I was like, "Is this real?" Is it fake? It's an unknown number. They just sent me this. They misspelled the name of the doctor. I figured it was probably voice dictated or something, and that's why the name was misspelled. But I'm like, I don't know. So, I mean, I immediately said, I'm not texting, I'm not clicking this link. And I immediately went, looked up their phone number, and then called them. I was like, So, how do companies do a better job with this?
This is another tricky one, right?
Well,
Companies.
all mine are tricky. Come on.
So yeah, well, as for the companies, I think, like, department stores have been doing a better job by, like, maybe even just having, like, a sign like I mentioned before, or telling, cashiers to be like, "Hey, if you see Jane Smith buying 7 gift cards, maybe that should be a red flag," right? Just ask the question, you're not buying this for some company, right? Like, just little things to, like, pry the scam out of them, right? As for I know a lot of the scams I deal with, there's a lot of screen sharing software out there that allow some really, really nice features that just aid scammers, and it's like the free version. So they pay nothing, they get access to these. They can like darken your screen. And I don't know too many people that are needing the free version to have all these resources, like blacking out the screen and not allowing somebody to see what they're doing on their computer. If you're getting tech support, there's really not a reason why grandma needs her screen blocked out if you're, assisting her with, I think that should be like paid features. That would go a long way to stop people from doing that. Maybe financial institutions can do better with detecting whether or not remote software is being used when you log in. I don't know if that's even possible, but things of that nature could help.
I just want them to quit acting like scammers. I mean, sending me. I had
Yeah.
another one. I had another one from an air conditioning company that does a service contract on my air conditioner, and they send me a text and they say, "Click this link to get a new service contract." Unknown numbers, obviously texted by somebody in the office. I'm like, I don't know who you are. I'm not clicking that. Like that could just as easily be something bad. But I will tell you. So this is something for your training, and I'll give it to you for free if you're listening. When I was doing this kind of training, I called it AIM, AIM, access, information, money. This was three things that when somebody asked me for it, I said no. They wanted on my system or on my phone. Sorry, no. They wanted information. What's your birthday? What's your mother's maiden name? What's your PIN number? We need all that. I don't think so. And money. That's the biggie, of course. Like, can you give me a gift card? Can you give me I don't know, your bank account number?
Especially when they're calling you. If you're calling somebody and they're asking
Well,
for information
yeah.
to verify the account, that's different, but, yeah, especially when they're contacting you, the AIM system, I like that. I actually will start using that. I'm gonna steal that from you.
Thanks. Well, I mean, yeah, if you call them and you know who you called, but that's a condition.
Yeah.
Be sure you know who you're calling because that's another part of the problem is that I call some number that I saw on a letter and I got some person pretending. I mean, that's easy to do. I mean, I can spoof all kinds of phone numbers, with any sort of VoIP setup. I can pretend to be in New York. I can pretend to be in Argentina and you're calling me, maybe just be sure you're calling who you think you are before you start giving out a lot of information. And I've been a real pain about some of that stuff. And historically, I was doing a thing. I'm really sorry, guys in Mexico. I didn't know them. They asked me to come speak in Mexico and they offered to pay for my flight. And I was like, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. And they were like, could you just give us your bank number and all this stuff? And I was like, no. I don't know you. And they're like, well, how can we pay you? And I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, could we do Venmo? Could we do Zelle? And they're like, oh, we don't do any of that stuff. And I'm like, oh, I ended up getting paid in cash in an envelope. It was so cool. A guy came up to me and kind of went, Senor, Senor, and then hands me an envelope. It was totally cool. Um, do you think this stuff's going to expand now with AI? I mean, is AI going to make this so much easier for these kind of scammers to get to my great aunt Ida?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're already seeing that with the Brad Pitt scammer that happened,
Oh
where there
yeah.
was a French woman that lost $850,000, and that's just heartbreaking, and that's already showing AI. I was speaking to one scammer the other day, and he was, like a romance scam kinda thing, and he was sending pictures, and I thought I could get him with that. I was like, "Hey, could you send me a picture?" And he just generated an AI picture, and it's
Of course.
obviously AI, and it's sad to see, and you're seeing, like, Mr. Beast ads. If you're on YouTube a lot, you'll see those and deep fakes of celebrities, and it's out of control for sure. The AI stuff is it's a and another thing is, like, So those like scammers that don't necessarily speak English can target now multiple languages regardless of what
Yeah.
they speak because they can use AI to translate whatever they're trying to sell or scam somebody, right? And that helps a lot, a lot. So you don't even need to be like region specific now. You can just target everyone on the globe because you can just translate through AI even if it's a little broken.
Yeah, but it's actually getting to the point that it's not. I mean, yeah, used to that
Yeah.
was, of course, one of my big tip-offs. I get a letter from my doctor's office, and it's all in broken English, and I'm going, hmm. Now, I do live in Rhode Island, as everybody knows, so I'm giving you some free information. But I live in Rhode Island, so we we might have some interesting language here because we have a lot of people who speak Portuguese and things like that. So you might get some broken English, and it's actually totally legit. But then again, AI makes all that so much easier, right? And it just means I can write better things. Do you think AI is gonna be able to be used to do better phishing against us too? Because, I mean, some of this stuff, I know what you're doing is not necessarily spear phishing, but the more I can spear it, the better off I'm gonna be as a scammer.
Maybe. I know, I was watching there was a story about how AI was generating a bunch of nonsense legal terms. I think it was Legal Eagle had a video about this where
Mm.
there was these 2 lawyers that were just generating AI and the AI was just pulling cases out of its bottom, right? Like it just was making stuff up. So no one could verify, check anything. It was all just made up. So I don't know. Maybe there is a possibility where AI is just scraping more and more data, where
Mhm.
that's scary. That's scary in itself. But as of
I
right now, I don't know because, like I said, the information seems to just be made up a lot of the time. So maybe that's a
Yeah.
big red flag if you start seeing that.
I mean, from what I saw, you're dealing with a lot of shotgunners who just are basically they're not trying to spearfish people, they're just hoping for victims
Right.
to come wandering along. Just like old-fashioned, kinetic scams where, I remember a guy showed up at my house one time and was offering to redo my roof because he had all these shingles, but he'd bought them for another customer who now wouldn't pay him, and if I could just front him the money to go to Home Depot and hire a couple of workers and some, additional stuff, he just needed $500 and he'd be back in half an hour. I could get the roof done for almost 10% of what, of what it would really cost. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, buddy, you're going to miss out. And I probably missed out, but yeah, no, he took off real quick when I said, I work for the police, which I didn't, but I told him that. And he was like, okay, bye. I got to go. And he took off. Um, so one other question, and I don't know that you have an answer to this, and I don't know if we did, we could go get famous or something. But do you think there's any real point to pursuing like legal action and laws about this kind of stuff? I mean, this stuff's essentially illegal. I mean, scams are illegal, maybe, but it's international. It's trans-border problems. It's international law. I mean, is this something where we should even waste our time, or should we just spend all this money and effort training people?
So, if someone has been scammed, I think you should absolutely report it to the police. This is
Yes.
something that if there's ever a chance that they are able to recover your money, there you can get that money back. It is possible. It's not likely, but it is possible. So always report if you've been scammed, even if it's embarrassing. I know some people make it out to be like, "How can you be scammed? How can you do this?" And it's shame on them for saying that kind of stuff. If you've been scammed, go report it. I know it's tough. We've been working with some FBI agents to sort of try to crack down on these call centers. We've been gaining, access to their computers and sharing all the stuff we've getting, all the victim information, all the data, where they're
Oh, that's
located,
good.
what times they're scamming. And they are working with police over there. It's just always tricky because you never know who's going to be picking up the phone over there and whether or not they're in the pocket. You just don't know. And so it's always
Yeah.
difficult, but I don't think it's ever a waste of time to report these guys.
No, I absolutely think you should report it. I mean, even, when I first started seeing this kind of stuff long ago, I got calls from law enforcement who were saying, do you have any idea what the internet is? And, they were literally getting people, they had no idea. They didn't have computers. They didn't have computer literacy, and they had no idea what was going on. And citizens were calling and, saying, I just gave this guy a bunch of money. So absolutely report it, because if at least there's a record of what went on. I do think we should have a clearinghouse of some sort in the world that can help us. And maybe there is such, I don't know. Have you ever seen something like that? That would share this information with everybody?
I have not.
Okay, yeah, I haven't either. I mean, it would be
Yeah,
handy though, right? If we had lists of phone numbers and call centers and IP addresses and whatever. I mean, I know we have like regular block lists and all this kind of stuff that
sure.
exists about problematic IPs, but I think it would be nice if there was some kind of clearinghouse for enterprise to look at to go, yeah, we're just going to block these numbers at our border. We're not going to allow these calls. And in that same light, that is something you should do as an enterprise is consider why
Yeah.
would we get calls from North Korea? I mean, you probably won't, but you get that idea. So, anything else you'd like to share with our audience about this adventure of I'll call it correcting scammers instead of abusing them, but feel free to abuse them.
Yes, by all means. I think the best, like, I think you gave advice about that is sometimes the best thing to do is just ignore them. It's just not even worth because once they know that it's an active phone number or somebody's gonna be picking up, they might try another scam or they might be likely to do something else to try to get you. They're persistent, that's for sure. They are very
Yeah,
persistent.
I mean, I definitely think that getting involved in this is a dangerous game. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have resources backing you up. It looks easy. I mean, all you
Yeah,
specialists make this look so easy on YouTube. Like, I could do this, but I know that just like what it takes to make me look so sexy every day, there's a big crew of people working behind the scenes to cause that to happen. I mean, Tyson's over there right now furiously flipping switches and lighting to make me look better than I really do. You would believe it. But I mean, I am concerned. I'm glad you're doing this. I'm glad it's you, not me, because I'm scared of these guys. I think that it was fun. I won't lie, but it definitely was worrisome and stressful at the same time. Any big tips for people, individuals, how not to go for the scam?
just don't answer the phone. Just don't answer the
Just don't.
phone. Don't reply. Don't reply to the email.
Yeah, I mean, and I will tell you one last tip that I gave my dad. I was like buddy system. When my dad got old, my dad was he was a business person. He was a very smart guy, but when he got to be about 85 years old, he got very uncertain and he got very nervous about the internet. And I said, Dad, look, if you even for 1 second think something's not right, or even if you don't, just call me, call my brother, call somebody. My brother is police. He's paranoid about everything. If you call my brother, goes, is that a scam? Yes, it's a scam. Like, are you sure? I'm not sure. He said, no, it's a scam. And so get a friend or somebody to make yourself think twice about these. Talk to your friends and family about this too, because you really don't want to be that person, especially if you're a tech person. When your great aunt Ida calls and says, I just gave $50,000 to my granddaughter, but then I remembered that that wasn't her name anymore, or just something like that. And you're going, you did what? Because you're not getting that money back, most likely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank Rinoa Poison for being on my show. It was a real honor to have you here. Like I said, it was a little bit of an inferiority complex because your stream's bigger than my stream, but
Oh, no, no.
real pleasure. And anytime you want to come on, be sure and let me know because I'd love to have you if you have something you want to share. So we have lots of fun here. Thanks to all of you for watching. Happy holidays, and we'll see you next time on the Security Weekly News.